Morning, everybody. Hope you had a good weekend. It's March 3rd, about 7:20, 8:22 in the morning. Um, had an interesting end of the day on Friday. So let's see how it's going to look for Monday, March 3rd. All right, don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and we got to go. First up, as always, it's going to be Bitcoin. Somehow I got the S&P here that I've been missing. The S&P put in a nice green bar on Friday, and it's set to open up around this area up here somewhere this morning. Can't seem to push any higher than that though this morning. So we'll see what happens with that. We got our moving averages rolling over to act as resistance. We are in an uptrending market, but we have to wait and see what happens with the rest of it for today. But currently, the S&P is still in a bullish market, and it's looking like it wants to try to test this overhead resistance. So we'll see what happens as the market opens into this morning. Next up is Bitcoin. And Bitcoin is chopping around in this area here. Pushed up to here, but now it's pulled back, trying to find some support in this area, about 93,000. We'll have to see what happens with that. Currently, it's looking like it's trying to go higher, but it opened up this window, so it's probably got a lot of forces dragging on it, trying to pull it back down to shut this window before it continuing higher. So it almost shut this window completely, but it just barely got close, which may have been enough to reconcile this, but now it opened up a new window that it has to take care of before continuing higher. So it took a lot for it to get down in here because there was a lot of buyers in here waiting, and it kicked it right back up. But now we got this open void here, so that needs to be closed. We got to shut that garage door before leaving the house. So careful with Bitcoin. I don't think it's done going down. Next up is oil, and oil is trying to get up a little push up higher, but it's got this doji here, so it's got a whole lot, not a lot of conviction in oil here in this area right now, and we've got a lot of overhead pressure coming down also. So be careful with oil. It probably may open up higher, but I think it's going to continue to go lower as the days continue. Next up is the E-mini S&P, and also the same thing, put in a nice bar on Fridays, continuing trying to follow through, but as you can see, it's running out of juice here. Today, this doesn't turn into a nice big green bar and we push higher, then if we get a bunch of little choppy bars, I don't think we're going to have enough to continue through, and we're going to probably pull back down and retest this support area down here. That support area may prove to be a good support area. We're going to find out. Once we get our little pullback come down in here, retest to secure that support. Alright, for moving averages continue to push higher and faster, then maybe it won't even come back down into here to retest this. Maybe we just might continue to go on up through and retest the high of this. But as you can see, we fell 1, 2, 3 times, so they better get it right this time or it's going to be a big failure. Alright, next up is Ethereum, and Ethereum is trying to push higher like Bitcoin, but of course it's got this overhead window open, but it's got overhead resistance as well. So be careful with this one. It had a little gap down here too, so maybe it just wants to back and fill this little gap down before continuing lower on Ethereum. Alright, but we do have our moving averages rolling over. It's going to cause some overhead pressure as well from our trade winds. So be careful with Ethereum. It's looks like it's trying to push back higher, but it's in a down market currently. So be careful with that. Same thing, Ethereum. Gold is showing some overhead pressure here at this resistance area here. Got our moving averages rolling over. Gold, I think, will be a more safer bet down in here somewhere at this 2800 currently, as our moving averages come up to support. So look for some support around 2800 if this fails here. Okay, at 28. All right, next up is natural gas. Natural gas is trying to push higher, trying to retest this area here. Got the overhead 8 and 9 SMAs coming down to act as resistance, but we got our 20-day that is trying to springboard off of and continue higher. So we'll see what happens with that particular move there. Could be something like this pullback here, where here it was a little bit choppy, and then finally it took off. But this one was a little bit better here, where it came down, hit the 20-day, and then took off. So keep an eye what happens with this 20-day simple moving average right now. If we get another green bar still following it, and this move is continuing to push higher, then we know we're gonna go to retest this overhead at $4.476 on natural gas. $4.47. All right. So currently it's still in the uptrending market, and it looks like it's got maybe having some help from the 20-day. So we'll see what happens with that. All right. Natural gas. Next up, NASDAQ. And the NASDAQ is showing that it wants to continue higher. It's got the overhead resistance of the 20 and the 8 and 9 SMA, but we got the support of the 200 and 150 SMAs coming up underneath. So our trade winds are lifting us back up into the air. Our sails are open and we're ready to fly higher again. But we got to retest and get higher in this support area here. Confirm it as some support and getting our footing so we can jump and try to get higher up, because we do have this overhead resistance of the moving averages rolling over. And then we have this rejection area in here that we failed at multiple times. So that's going to be a hard area to get through as well. Okay, so we're going to need to get up, come back down, get our footing, gather the troops, and then go forward again. Trying to just run straight up through here is going to be a problem. And if it does do that, then be careful. It may fail in here somewhere and come back down. Alright, and if we get that back down below here, it's going to be another struggle to get back through here again. An even bigger struggle, because now everybody's going to be going, oh man, that was a failure there. That wasn't a good push higher. It was just a push up and then a failure. Alright, and if you see that, then you're really going to be worried about the state of the NASDAQ, and you may not want to invest for a minute until you're sure what's happening. Next up is silver. Silver is going to want to try to retest this up in here, but it's got quite a distance to go, and it's got some overhead resistance. So it does have the trade winds coming up to support, to put that wind beneath its wings. So we'll see what happens in here also with the silver. But currently it's looking like it wants to try to push higher and retest this area. So let's see how that works out for it. It's been a good rejection area for some time now. So we'll see how it does. But it does have the overhead resistance here and trade winds for support here, and it is currently still in the bullish market. It just needs some more strength to get up through this $33 area, which it keeps failing at. Next up is the Dow, and the Dow is trying to push higher. Got a little bit of a close up above this area here. We need to close here and support in here before we know we're confident to continue to go up and try to retest this area again. That's been a failure for us. Okay, so be careful with that one. Got the 20-day coming over to act as resistance, and as we can see that sometimes the 20-day isn't kind. It'll knock it back down. So we get here, and if it knocks it back down into these trade winds, we may be in trouble. Or it may just knock back down in here in these winds, and the winds just get beneath our wings and lift us up and take us all the way up through here. But we do have this support coming up, and it's still pointing higher, so it may work as some support, but we'll have to see what happens with this 20-day rolling over, because it also may act as resistance like it did here. Okay, we got this resistance here, tried to test it again, came back down, got a little bit of support from the 20, but then it rolled over and fell underneath. Alright, so now it's still underneath this 20. So we have to see how it behaves with this 20. If this 20 hits it and knocks it down through here, then it may not be enough for our winds to support the force of it coming down through, and may end up coming down into here. And once we get below these trade winds, just look out below. Alright, so be careful with the move right now. It's in an uptrending market, so you should be able to trust green. But sometimes when you're losing a lot of momentum, even the winds can't support you. Alright. So that's what I got for the Dow. Oh, you know what? I don't have corn on here. That's what's missing. Corn. There you are. Next up is corn. Corn fell through our support area. So this area was acting as support, but it looked like it couldn't quite hang on. And it looks like we're set to open up about 463 down in here somewhere. So this may be our support in here, where we had this nice big bar push up and then just follow through. Alright, so this may be our 50% maybe of this bar might be our support, or maybe even down here around this last quarter of it, around $450 or so, $459, but right, so right down in here maybe our support area, 460 or so, 459, 460, 450. Let's give it a range between 450 and 460. ATR is $10, so I think that's a pretty good range. Alright, so that's corn. Look for some support down in here around between $450 and $460. If we don't slow our roll, and if we should break down through that area, then the last area of defense is going to be our trade winds. And if our trade winds can't catch us and hold us up higher and put that wind beneath our wings to lift us higher, then look out below on corn. But currently corn is pulling back quite a bit, and it got pretty far from the trade wind, so we'll see what happens with corn. But 450 and 460 should be a support area for it, and then we'll see what happens from there. We're gonna have to give this one a couple of days maybe, or at least a couple of days to see what it's going to want to do. If it's going to find some support in here and want to retest this overhead resistance that used to be support, and it may not have been a very good support area, but it did pause there for a minute, and it did, in the pre-market bounce around in here quite a bit, but now it looks like it's giving it up, and it's still trying to hold on in this area. So we got that range is always it's not just this one little line, it's an area for support. All right, and on this particular stock with the $10 ATR, that's a pretty big range, or pretty big support area. All right, $10. Okay, that's it. We got let's see, let's do Chipotle. Chipotle is trying to push higher, running into some trouble up in here in this area. Got a little window. If it opens up here, we're gonna have a window open. So if it pushes up, be careful. They may sell off and try to come back and shut that window before trying to go higher. Got overhead resistance from the trade winds coming over. Got the 20-day rolling over. So that's also going to be another resistance area here when they hit this 20-day. Um, they may bounce off the 20-day and head lower on Chipotle. So be careful with Chipotle. Chipotle, although it's looking kind of bullish right now, it's in a down market, or it's in a soon to be headed down market. These are the trade winds are still kind of flat, but we do have this overhead resistance with the 20 rolling over. But it may still have enough to get through these trade winds as long as they're flat. It's when they roll over and start to head downward, it's where that bigger pressure comes in from those trade winds. All right. So currently it may be salvageable here, but we'll have to see what happens. See if they have the energy to do it. All right. Next up is Rocket Lab, and Rocket Lab is Rocket Lab is finding some resistance in this area right here this morning. So it needs to get up through this $21.34 area, find some support, and continue higher. If it tries to run up and keep going and forces its way all the way up through here, I think we're going to get a failure at some point and then sell off. So be careful with Rocket Lab, because you might go to bed and wake up and find it down here somewhere. All right? Yeah, because it's trying to push in too much too soon, where it'd be better off if it kind of did a little trickle back down, found some support, and then trickled up and got through this area. Or if it can push up through this area and come in and find some support in here and then continue to push higher. But if it tries to just run straight up through here, I don't think it's going to have enough to do it. And we're going to get a big failure and fall down through our trade winds. So be careful with Rocket Lab. All right, that's all I got for this morning. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope it helps you. Be sure to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and be careful out there. These markets are crazy.